Hey everybody. So I know that I owe you guys the next part of my story, which is part 3. And this is actually, it's technically part 4, but this is the story of my third child. After I had my second child, and that pregnancy went off without a hitch, had her at 38, 39 weeks. I was huge, so I didn't have any issues with my placenta this time. And so about, I would say 6 months, when my second child was 6 months, I found out I was pregnant again. And of course I was ecstatic, and did the, I didn't have an ultrasound yet because I was still too early. I think I found out when I was about, I would say 6 weeks or maybe 5 weeks with the pregnancy test, and we were happy. We're like, wow, it happened quicker, because my first 2 kids are like about 2 years apart. So this one, my youngest, was 6 months. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. And so one day I go to work and I'm bleeding, and that has never happened in any of my pregnancies. So I'm freaking out. I call the doctor, and my doctor was on vacation, so they had me talk to a different doctor. And because she was on call covering for my doctor, and she told me, go home, put your feet up, don't do anything, just chill. Call me, let me know how that is. And so, of course, I told her, I said, it's nothing red, it's just brown, so we were assuming it was like maybe old blood, and it was fine, because some people do bleed during pregnancies and everything is fine. So I lay down, I left work early, went home, put my feet up, just relaxed the whole day. Then the bleeding kind of slowed down, so I was happy about that, and they made an appointment for me the next day. I go to do the ultrasound, and the doctor's like, I'm sorry, I don't see anything. I don't see a heartbeat. I don't see anything. And of course, I'm distraught. And this is the main reason why I don't tell people prior to 12 weeks, because anything can happen. Anything can happen after 12 weeks too. But this was, even though this had never happened to me before, this was why. Because I've heard stories and I've seen things with people that I know. So I didn't want to say anything. And at that time, the only people who knew was, of course, my husband, my sister-in-law, my mother, and my aunt, and my brother. And so oh baby, don't go. You're gonna fall, sweetheart. And I gotta move her because she's like likes to move a lot. She's watching her K-pop videos. So then girl, please sit still. She just wants to be with me. Never mind. Then I'm sorry, I lost track of thought. So then what happens is that she's like, you have 2 choices. You can either go home and have it leave your body naturally, or you can have a DNC. But there's definitely, she showed me there was no heartbeat, there was nothing. I go tell my husband, I come home, I'm like crying, I'm upset. I couldn't imagine going through having to have a miscarriage and let it just come out of my body naturally. Like, she was telling me sometimes it can be, you know, of course it probably depends on how far along you are, but it can be painful. I didn't want to see anything in a toilet. I just couldn't do it. And more power to the women who have had to see that and go through that. I truly feel for you. So I told her, let's just schedule the DNC. The DNC was like, maybe like, she scheduled it like 4 days later, because that's when they could do it. In the meantime, I was waiting to see if I would pass it by myself, which I never did. I still was bleeding a little bit, but nothing was coming out. So it is very difficult to go through days knowing that, you know, the embryo in your womb, that nothing is, you know, it didn't survive, and that you're walking around knowing this. So the day of my DNC came, I took the day off from work, and I was working for a hospital at the time. So I told my supervisor what was going on. He was a doctor, so he, you know, understood, you know, what these things were. And so I talked to my mom, I talked to my aunt. My actual doctor was performing the DNC, and she came in, she said, look, there's nothing you did. Like, she was trying to let me know it wasn't my fault. There's nothing you did, you know. And so she made me feel better, but I still got emotional with her in the room, and she gave me a hug. Next thing you know, I was asleep, and then I woke up and everything was done. And of course, I was sad. I went to work a couple of days later, and one of my coworkers came in, and I just got emotional when she hugged me and she prayed for me. And then as she was leaving, the doctor I worked with came in, and he wanted to say something. I'm like, just to let you know, I'm very raw. Like, I just finished crying. He goes, okay, I won't say anything. And, you know, he left the room. And that was just like hard. And then, knowing me, I went and I started researching when I was pregnant, when this child was going to be born, because at the time I didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And it would have been born the same month as my oldest child. And so I found that like kind of cool. And then I would say maybe a year later, I am looking at my records and I see that it was a girl. And we would have had 3 girls in a row. And that made me sad again. And, you know, with grief, I don't really feel like grief goes away. It might subside, but there are moments where it'll hit you again. And sometimes you'll go through the process of grief all over again, from angry to sad to depressed to angry, you know, just all those things, and then you feel okay again. But I'll be back tomorrow for the next story, and I will see you guys later. And I should have said this in the beginning, but if any of my videos you see you needed to do the 2 times the speed, please feel free to do so. I know these videos can be pretty long. See you tomorrow.